The craziest Karen I've ever met. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Sunny. Before I start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Let's shoot for 2,000 likes on today's video, guys. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so back when I was about 10 years old, one day my dad and I went to our local Stater Brothers to pick up some food for the house. Except back then, I didn't have a phone, DS, or a tablet to keep me occupied while my parents shopped, so I had to come up with ways of entertaining myself, which was fine because as a kid, I'd say I was pretty resourceful and I had a very vivid imagination. So I decided I was going to get down on my knees, pause, and see if I could find some loose change on the ground, which in hindsight is pretty nasty considering how dirty the floor is, but 10-year-old me had pretty much no funds besides maybe some leftover birthday money or whatever I'd find under the couch cushions. So I was desperate for some sort of cash flow, okay? But anyways, at this particular Stater Brothers, towards the exit of the store, they had a Coinstar machine. And for anyone who doesn't know, Coinstar machines will convert large amounts of coins into dollar bills. So if you have a jar of coins or something lying around the house, you take it to a Coinstar machine in exchange for some paper. And because people would use this machine pretty often, there would always, and I mean always, be coins laying on the ground either near the machine or underneath the machine. I remember one time I found like $2 worth of quarters. It was crazy. But anyways, I get down on my knees, pause, and I start looking around for coins. And to my surprise, I find a nickel. But not just any nickel. This nickel was different. In fact, it was probably the most beautiful nickel I've ever laid eyes on, okay? It had a shimmering silver finish with pretty much no scratches at all, and Thomas Jefferson's ponytail was looking wavy as hell. Needless to say, it was a gorgeous piece of currency, okay? Except, as I'm admiring this beautiful piece of art that I found, I look up, and standing over me is this old, crispy, disgusting, decrepit, fat Karen staring at me with the dirtiest look on her face. And she says to me in the most rude tone imaginable, "You know that's someone else's money, right?" And I kind of just stared at her for a second because I'm like, is this a joke? But sure enough, it wasn't. And she goes, "Yeah, you're stealing. I suggest you put that back right now." So, you know, me being a nice kid who was always taught to respect your elders and to always do the right thing, I obeyed her. And sadly, I put the nickel back, which I'm not proud of at all, okay? But I was like 10, so give me a break. And after I put the nickel back, she says to me in the most condescending tone known to man, "Yeah, that's right. Make better choices next time." And I walked away with my head down because I was just humiliated by this vile human being. And worst of all, I never saw that nickel ever again. Now, I know some of you guys watching this are probably thinking to yourself,
"But Sonny, this wasn't even that crazy of a story. I was expecting something more exciting, you ugly fat loser. I hate you."
and yes, I know this wasn't crazy at all. Except that's not where the story ends, and let's just say things took a very unexpected turn after this. So after this atrocity took place, I met back up with my dad, who just finished paying for his items, and unlike me in that moment, he was actually in a really good mood. I think he ended up getting a good deal on a rotisserie chicken or some shit, so best believe he was doing fantastic. But as we're leaving the store, I tell him that this evil, hateful, sorry excuse for a human life told me that I needed to make better choices and that I was stealing money, when all I did was pick up a nickel. But after I tell him this, his once cool and calm demeanor left his body within seconds, and he no longer cared about the chicken that he got on sale. He only cared about revenge. So we eventually get in the car, and I'm not gonna lie, I decided to just brush the whole thing off because at the end of the day, all I really lost was 5 cents and maybe a little bit of my dignity, except my dad had completely different plans. And I know you guys don't know my dad, but let's just say he lives by a code called FAFO. And if you've never heard of FAFO, it means fuck around and find out. And let's just say that's exactly what this lady did when she decided to lecture me. So as we're leaving the parking lot, I'm talking to my dad about Naruto or something because I didn't care about the money anymore. But I noticed that instead of leaving the parking lot, he started circling around with this really intense expression on his face. And I soon realized that he was trying to find this woman so he could confront her. And once I realized this, I immediately started telling him to just leave the whole thing alone because it just wasn't worth it in my eyes, and I just wanted to go home. Except he wasn't listening to a word I was saying. So as we're circling around, he eventually looks up and he sees the woman packing groceries into her car, and he looks to me and he says, "Is that her?" And I say hesitantly, "Yes, Dad. That's her." So eventually my dad pulls the car up beside her and he rolls down his window and says in a very respectful way, "Hey, excuse me, can you please not tell my kid what to do? All he did was pick up 5 cents." And as soon as he says this, her face goes completely white and she goes, "Oh my gosh, sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean." But before she can say another word, my dad goes, "Yeah, you should probably think twice before talking to someone else's kid like that, you idiot. In fact, how about you go and leave my kid alone. And when I tell you that he said probably every single horrible thing you could think of to this woman, I mean it, okay? I mean, my dad verbally stabbed this woman like 87 times. And obviously I can't repeat what he said because your boy just got monetized, and I'm not trying to get flagged or whatever, but just know that she wasn't recovering from any of that. And the funniest part about this whole thing is that when my dad pulled up next to her, she was on the same side as the front passenger seat, which just so happened to be where I was sitting. So I was literally in between them while this murder was taking place, while this massacre was taking place. But aside from that, my dad eventually runs out of ammo, and he eventually starts to drive away. But as he's driving away, the lady yells out, "Oh, that's real mature, sir." And you could tell she wanted to cry because my dad verbally skinned this woman alive, okay? But yeah, after that, we head home, and it was quiet for about 10 minutes before I eventually break the silence and go, "Dad, that was awesome." And my dad just keeps his eyes on the road and goes, "I know, son. I know." And then after that, we went home and ate rotisserie chicken together.